Hello guys, how are we all doing? Welcome back to yet another video, folks. Today we are predicting the FA Cup third round of the football, of course. Before we get into YouTube channel, please hit the subscribe button. So, Milton Keynes Dom takes on Oxford United. I was going to go for Milton Keynes to win it 2-1. They might win it on extra time as well. Preston versus Wigan. I thought I was going to go for Preston 2-0, but they're 1-0 up, of course. Wigan are 1-0 up against Preston. And Wrexham versus Nottingham Forest. Wrexham were 2-0 up and 3-1 up, but Nottingham Forest fought back to 3-3. One of the most intriguing ties in the third round of this season's FA Cup sees the big spending Wrexham take on the relegation threatened Nottingham Forest in Wales. Wrexham have found some brilliant form of late as Phil Parkinson's Red Dragons inching closer towards the top six and playoff places in the Championship. The hosts managed to defeat Derby County by 2-0 at Pride Park on the other day, extending their winning streak to 4 matches either side of the turn of the year. Nottingham Forest are struggling to balance domestic and European commitments this season. But with their third manager of the campaign, Sean Dyche now has also come in under pressure. However, Forest did themselves a much needed come from behind 2-1 defeat of the fellow strugglers West Ham United at the London Stadium. Phil Parkinson led Brentford City to a League Cup final in 2023 and helped one of the greatest FA Cup upsets ever by Aston side. It came from 2-0 down to beat Chelsea 2 years ago, later at Stamford Bridge. But Sean Dyche, on the other hand, has overseen a Premier League team losing at home to the non-league Lincoln City back in 2017. You will also be aware that this competition is not much priority for the visitors, even though as a friend, certainly as a friend, not priority the visitors, even though rotated Forest side will still be strong. It could be quite a fun game for the neutral, but I'm going for Wrexham to win it 4-3, maybe 3-1 and 1 on penalties. Port Vale against Fleetwood. I'm going for Port Vale to win 1-0, of course, but they're still leading. Leicester City versus Charlton down. I'm going for Leicester City to win it 3-1. Let's go for Everton versus Sunderland. Everton versus Sunderland. The first all-Premier League tie in the third round of the FA Cup comes at the Hill Dixon Stadium, Merseyside, as Everton take on Sunderland. David Moyes isn't under pressure, but he has been a poor run of form for Everton ahead for this one. But the Toffees' frustrating 1-1 draw with Wolverhampton Wanderers in midweek means that they have now managed 1 win in their last 6 matches, and threadbare squad due to injuries, suspensions and players away on the international duty. Sunderland head to Liverpool on the back of a 3-0 loss to Brentford at the G-Tech Community Stadium in the midweek. The Black Cats have fought and performed well with so many absentees due to the Africa Cup of Nations, but that is sort of a result of performance. Did feel as though things were naturally catching up with them. Sunderland are focusing on assuring they can finish as high as possible in the Premier League, what Everton could do without another fixture at the moment. So a game is which neither have much of an interest, so that is showing seems likely. I'm going for Sunderland to win 2-1. And Macclesfield versus Crystal Palace. I'm going Crystal Palace to win 4-1. Wolves against Shrewsbury. I'm going for Wolves to win 3-0. Boreham Wood against Burton. I'm going for Boreham Wood to win it 2-1. Right. Burnley versus Millwall. Burnley have the opportunity for some respite from their poor Premier League form as the Clarets now take on the Championship promotion challengers Millwall at Turf Moor. Scott Parker's Burnley have struggled throughout this season with just 3 victories in their 21 matches so far this season. They sit firmly in the bottom 3 and relegation places. They did manage to share a 2-2 draw with Manchester United at Turf Moor in Lancashire. And the other day in the third for encounter, they now face a Millwall side under the management of former Norwich City boss Alex Neil, currently sitting inside the top 6 and playoff places in the Championship. The Lions managed to defeat Swansea City by 2-1 at the Den last week, courtesy of a late winner scored by Taylor. With home advantage, Burnley should come out on top. And even though they have been poor in the league, they do have a lot of depth for it if they choose or rotate. But I'm going for an upset win. Millwall to win 2-1. And then Doncaster versus Southampton. I'm going for Southampton to win it 2-0. And Fulham versus Middlesbrough. Fulham have found some excellent and well-timed form and tried to begin an impressive cup run as the Cottagers welcome to promotion challenging Middlesbrough to the capital city. Fulham coming into this one on the back of a 2-1 defeat of Chelsea in the West London derby at Craven Cottage in midweek, courtesy of a late Harry Wilson winner. That victory for Marco Silva has extended their unbeaten run of form in the Premier League to 6 matches, but Kim Hellberg and his Middlesbrough side head into this one of an impressive 4-0 hammering of Southampton last week, but the Smodics sit trucked inside the top 2 and automatic promotion spots in the Championship, with that big win ending what was a 4-match winless run of form. Borough should possibly end up rotating even more than their Premier League opposition here, as Fulham have less to keep focus on home to win. It's to be expected, but expected a tight game, but Fulham to edge it overall. Ipswich against Blackpool. I'm going Ipswich 3-0. Man City versus Exeter City. Perhaps the biggest mismatch in the third round on the FA Cup, at least in one, sees Manchester City welcome to League One side Exeter City to the Etihad Stadium. Pep Guardiola's Manchester City head into this one on the back of a very frustrating start to 2026, but their form has hit a rough patch just at the wrong time as Arsenal extended their lead at the top of the table. They shared their third successive draw in midweek with a 1-1 draw with Brighton over Albion in midweek. Exeter City are involved in a relegation battle in League One. All belted over the division are as Exeter sit 14th in the third tier table, just 4 points clear on the bottom 4 relegation places. The visitors shared an insane 2-2 draw with Huddersfield Sound last week, courtesy of a late Jaden Warman equaliser. Exeter have been improved on that result, but that helped their form. Just 2 defeats in 8 all competitions. That shouldn't have been a heavy loss against City, but I'm going for 5-0 Man City. Newcastle will face Bournemouth. One of the fewer all-time Premier League ties this week comes at St James's Park, and Newcastle United welcome FC Bournemouth to Teesside. Eddie Howe has come under scrutiny this season, with Newcastle United enduring some awkward runs of form. However, the Magpies will be buoyant ahead of this weekend after a remarkable dramatic 4-3 victory over Leeds United in midweek, as they came from 3-2 down in a second half stoppage time. They now face an FC Bournemouth side that coach Andela Lalaro ended a long winless run on the other day, as the Cherries defeated Tottenham Hotspur with 3-2, courtesy of a late Antonio Semenyo winner, before he then departs for Manchester City for a fee believed to be over 60 million. This one does have the potential to be a quite fun to watch, with Newcastle all belted bit busy in both EFL Cup and then the Champions League, likely to be less than interest in the outcome. But losing a game in the Cup will be disliked by supporters. Both teams scoring seems to be a good bet for this one. I'm going for the Magpies to win it 2-0. Salford versus Swindon. I'm going Salford 2, but The big news: Salford versus Swindon will be postponed due to like a frozen pitch, of course. So no Salford versus Swindon, of course. Sheffield Wednesday versus Brentford. Sheffield Wednesday coming into this one on the back of a back-to-back 3-0 defeats to Preston North End and Queen Park Rangers to kick off the calendar year of 2026. The Owls still in administration have far bigger concerns off the pitch than on it. They have 32 points clear, a safe drift of safety in the Championship. They face a Brentford side they have not just surprised many by being more than safe in the Premier League, but they are also in the hunt for European spots too. The Bay's 3-0 hammering of Sunderland in midweek leaves the West Londoners sitting fifth in the table and just 2 points outside the top four. Remarkably, Brentford has been desperately large amount of death too, as shown by the EFL Cup run to the quarterfinals. Even they rotate, they should win this one quite comfortably. I'm going for 4-0 to Brentford. Stoke versus let's move on to Stoke City versus Coventry. It is Mark Robins' derby at the Bet365 Stadium as Mark Robins, current club Stoke City, takes on his former club Coventry City in the third round of the FA Cup. Stoke City coming into this one on the back of a 2-0 win away at Norwich City at Carrow Row last week, and making it back-to-back victories for the Potters in 2026 has brought them back towards the top six and playoff places in the Championship after a major dip in form through the autumn and winter. They now face a Coventry City side that, now coached by Frank Lampard, remain at the top of the table in the second tier, but the Sky Blues are enduring a major blip, but which is seeing the lead at the top being cut week by week. The 3-2 loss to Birmingham City last week means that they have won just two of their last 8 matches. That run of form will definitely contribute towards Frank Lampard wanting to rotate a bit more here, with signing with Stoke being able to push. That seems a good bet for this one. But I'm going for Coventry to win it 1-0. And then Bristol City versus Watford. We have an all-championship affair at Aston Gates between two teams that they are pushing for a playoffs berth. Bristol City faces Watford in the FA Cup third round. Gerrard's Drubbers. Bristol City have started 2026 with an impressive thumping of Portsmouth 5 goals to 0 before suffering a 2-0 loss at home to Preston North End just a few days later. That has left Robin sitting a couple of points outside the top 6 playoff places in the Championship. The team that is in 6th position in the second division are indeed in their up and coming opponents. Watford and the Hornets have been much improved since the start of Javi Gracia, and Watford's hammering of Birmingham City on New Year's Day, extending their winning streak to 4 matches. Watford has discovered some excellent form. I have reached the FA Cup final under Javi Gracia in the past, so siding with them would appeared the way to go for this one. I'm going for Watford to win 2-1, and that will be a bonus point. Cambridge versus Birmingham. I'm going for Birmingham 2-0. Grimsby to beat Western-super-Mare 4 goals to 1. Right. The match of the third round. There is an all-Premier League clash in North London as Tottenham Hotspur, under the immense pressure taken on Aston Villa side, clinching onto the title race. Thomas Frank is under pressure at Tottenham Hotspur, and he hasn't helped himself with lazy mistakes in midweek off the pitch, with such as bizarre drinking from an Arsenal laboured mug. But that came before Spurs scrambled to a 3-2 loss to FC Bournemouth due to a late Anton Semenyo striker on the Variety Stadium. But they now face Aston Villa side. They come into this one on the back of being quite unfortunate to share the goalless draw with Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park in Croydon. The Villains have been superb It's a woeful start to the season, but Unai Emery's side are now slipping away from Arsenal at the top of the table. Villa have a surprise amount of depth, but they've rotated well this season, but they're well coaches and compliant, which are a couple of things that Spurs aren't. So signing with the visitors appears to be the best one for this one. I'm going for Villa to win 2-1. Saturday in the third round finishes at the Valley in London as Charlton Athletic faces Chelsea in the beginning of a new era for the Blues. Nathan Jones, Charlton Athletic, went 2-0 up at Ewood Park against Blackburn Rovers in their most recent outing. Lancashire last weekend before scrambling to a 2-2 draw against their fellow strugglers. The Alex began life in the Championship well following their promotion, but they have endured some difficult couple of months. Having said, in the stands to watch over the 2-1 defeat to the West London rivals Fulham at Craven Cottage in midweek, but Liam Rose Senior takes charge of his first Chelsea game after his move from Strasbourg. There are plenty of rotation fears about the experience, out and culture of Chelsea appears to be contracted with a steady build approach. But that said, he'll be aware he simply has to hit the ground running. The element of protagonist may be on the show him, what should still be a very comfortable away win here for Chelsea. But I'm going for Chelsea to win it 2-1. May just have enough quality. Derby versus Leeds. I'm going for Leeds 3-1. Arsenal versus Portsmouth, but I'm going for an Arsenal win 5-2. Hull versus Blackburn. I'm going for Hull 2-1. Norwich against Walsall. I'm going for Norwich to beat Walsall 2-0. Sheffield United against Mansfield. I'm going for Sheffield United 3-1. Swansea City versus West Brom, who sacked Ryan Mason, of course, but based on form, I fancy Swansea to go for a low scoring, maybe win it on extra time. West Ham against QPR. I'm going for an upset. I'm going West Ham 1, QPR 2. And Manchester United versus Brighton. Manchester United sacked Ruben Amorim. New manager will be Ollie. And then Brighton, they've been patching themselves, but I'm going for a Brighton win. And Liverpool versus Barnsley. After Liverpool fresh from their 0-0 draw against Arsenal, top league leaders Arsenal, but being at home against Barnsley, I'm going for pretty straightforward 5-0 to Liverpool, and that's my predictions then for the FA Cup third round. Leave on your comments below, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye, peace out.